Hello, and welcome to Dreamy Tales, a sanctuary where everyone can experience calm and a touch of magic before gently drifting into sleep. Tonight, we invite you on another enchanting journey, a story that helps soothe the mind and nurture a sense of peace. Before we begin, let's take a moment to prepare our bodies and minds for a comforting, restorative rest. Make yourself cozy, and with each slow inhale and long exhale, let the cares of the day gradually slip away. It's not always easy to step back from the day's demands, especially as night falls. Yet, remember, the less we worry about how quickly we'll fall asleep, the simpler it is for our minds to release any remaining tension. Allow the gentle flow of your breathing to wash away lingering concerns, and let the story ahead guide you into a state of deep relaxation. Now, settle in, and let the dreamy atmosphere softly wrap around you. Enjoy this story, and may you drift into a peaceful, restful slumber here on Dreamy Tales. The ghost of wood smoke clung to the air, an ethereal perfume intertwined enchantingly with the deeper notes of chocolate and brewing coffee. Outside, snow descended like a whispered secret, perfecting the hushed intimacy of the moment. Alara cradled a generous mug, its ceramic warmth a palpable blessing against her palms, sending tendrils of heat chasing the chill from her bones. She lifted the vessel, inhaling the sweet, peppermint-kissed steam rising from the hot chocolate. She sat nestled within a peculiar coffee house in the heart of Finnish Sapmi, that northern realm often called Lapland, where snow reigned for more than half the year. Here, above the Arctic Circle, life pulsed in rhythm with the long, embracing nights and the omnipresent white mantle. Winter wasn't just a season. It was the loom upon which the region's culture was woven. The cafe itself resided within a structure echoing a traditional kota, less log cabin, more sturdy triangular sanctuary, its heart a substantial stone fire pit radiating welcome. Polished picnic-style tables, smooth beneath the fingertips, were scattered across the wooden floor. The ambient warmth was sufficient for her turtleneck sweater. Her heavy winter coat rested on a peg rack across the room. From behind the counter came the gentle percussion of mugs meeting water. As a woman, Anya attended to her duties. Murmurs drifted from nearby tables, a soft tapestry of languages, English, Finnish, threads of Russian and Spanish, voices of locals and fellow travelers drawn to this wondrous latitude. Low-slung metal fixtures dripped dim, amber light, bathing the rustic space in a moody glow. Through the window, the day was already surrendering to twilight. The Arctic brevity of daylight painted the sky in fleeting, bruised colors above the wintry tableau. Fresh snowflakes drifted with hypnotic slowness, adding another layer to the thick quilt blanketing the earth. In the near distance, the clustered lights of village homes and shops pricked the gloom, soft yellow beacons against the deepening blue-white snowscape. Alara could even distinguish the silhouette of the cabin awaiting her return. Snow-dusted pines stood like sentinels around the settlement. The scene possessed a fragile magic, demanding preservation. Unzipping her backpack, her fingers brushed past thick gloves, a leather-bound journal, and, deeper still, a pair of ice skates nestled securely at the bottom. She traced a stiff lace, a flicker of anticipation warming her at the thought of the hours ahead. Locating her phone, its surface startlingly cold, she navigated to the camera app, shifting on the bench to frame the view. She raised the phone, tapping the screen, the focus square contracting, sharpening the image of falling snow against the village lights. A few clicks, capturing the ephemeral beauty, before lowering the device. She lingered on the last photograph until the screen dimmed, then decisively switched the phone off, tucking it back into the depths of her pack. The rasp of the zipper blended with the companionable crackle of the nearby fire. Her attention returned to the table, to the ceramic mug now lighter in her hands. Lifting it once more, she inhaled deeply before taking a slow, deliberate sip. She held the comforting warmth, pausing between sips, her gaze drifting between the cozy interior and the snow-laden world outside. Eventually, the mug stood empty. Setting it down with a soft click on the timber surface, Ilara gathered her backpack and slid off the smooth wooden bench. A smile and a wave towards Anya served as farewell as she retrieved her coat, its familiar weight settling onto her shoulders. She approached the curved wooden door leading to a small, sheltered porch. Grasping the cold metal handle, she felt the immediate kiss of winter's breath as she pulled it open, a momentary shock quickly subdued by her layers of protective clothing. Before venturing further, she paused, sinking onto a bench, tucked beneath the eaves, shielded from the gently falling snow. Another zip, and her woolen gloves emerged from the backpack. She drew them on, meticulously adjusting each finger until the fit was snug and perfect. Now, she thought, rising, ready. A deep exhalation plumed visibly in the frigid air, hanging for a moment before dissolving. Her rented kick sled awaited, an ingenious local conveyance, ideal for the snow-packed, unsalted lanes. It was primarily crafted from wood, featuring a small chair mounted above twin metal runners, like elongated skis, crowned with sturdy handlebars. She'd left it propped against the cafe's side wall. The snow crunched softly, a satisfying sound beneath her insulated boots with every step. The sled was as she'd left it, save for a delicate dusting of fresh powder on the seat and handles. Just then, a local man, Miko, ambled past, his face weathered and kind. He gestured towards a small shed nearby, its triangular roof mirroring the cafe's. "Snow scraper inside there," he offered in accented English. Ilara glanced towards the outbuilding, noticing its long door set within the quaint structure. With a grateful smile, she thanked him for his unsolicited kindness. A firm tug was needed to wrench the old shed door open. Ice had formed miniature welds in the gaps. Inside, amidst shadowed tools, she located the scraper behind a large rake. A few swift strokes cleared the snow from the sled's chair and handlebars. Replacing the tool, she pushed the shed door firmly shut until it latched. Almost ready for the forest path, she mused. Carefully, she secured her backpack onto the sled's small chair, ensuring its stability. Then, placing one foot then the other onto the runners behind the chair. She gripped the handlebars. Her gloved hands registered the underlying cold of the metal. She briefly imagined the biting sting without the wool's protection. Shifting her weight, she planted her dominant foot onto the packed snow and pushed off, a strong, deliberate kick propelling the sled forward. Snow crystals sprayed upwards like fleeting cold fireworks. Effortlessly, she was gliding, navigating the straight, snowbound street of the Arctic village. She fell into a rhythm. Glide, kick, glide. The world slid past, timber cabins puffing smoke, bundled figures walking briskly. Ahead, the western sky bled soft, pale hues, delicate pinks merging with the deepening azure as the sun dipped below the unseen horizon. Sunset arrived early here, a familiar cadence to which the inhabitants had long adapted, fostering a culture where coziness, candlelight, and fire-warmed havens were not luxuries, but necessities. She soon passed Mikko again. He likely heard the rhythmic shoosh of her sled runners approaching. They exchanged waves and brief greetings without her breaking stride. Minute snowflakes tapped against her nose and cheeks, cold kisses from the Arctic air. A profound sense of belonging settled over her, warm and unexpected. There is nowhere else I would rather be right now. The thought resonated with quiet certainty as she kicked off again. A flurry of motion zipped past. Children on their own kick sleds, swift and sure. A blast of cold air swirled in their wake. Elara watched them. Two young boys standing upright on the runners, swaddled in winter gear, scarves trailing. Another child, a girl in a white knitted beanie, sat nestled in one sled's chair, mitten-clad hands resting in her lap, loose strands of hair dancing wildly. They vanished down the street, their laughter echoing faintly. After several more minutes of rhythmic gliding, she executed a leisurely right turn. Rounding the corner, a vista of pure winter enchantment unfolded. A lake lay before her, a vast expanse locked beneath thick, opaque ice. Encircling its shores stood ranks of pine trees, their boughs magically laden with fresh snow. The crisp, clean scent of pine drifted on the air, an aroma that, for Elara, captured the very essence of winter. Pine, a hint of peppermint, the warmth of spice. The sun had now fully surrendered, and stars began to prick the darkening canvas overhead. A few scattered lampposts flickered to life, their faint, clicking sounds barely audible as they acknowledged the encroaching night. It was a scene perfectly composed for ice skating. Drawing closer, she brought the sled to a gentle halt near the lake's edge, letting out a soft sigh after the smooth journey. She paused, absorbing the silent majesty of snow-heavy pines meeting the frozen water under the vast, starlit sky. A sturdy-looking log, half buried in a snowdrift, caught her eye, its dark wood a stark contrast to the white expanse. She maneuvered the sled alongside it, pressing the runners firmly into the snow for stability. Glancing down at her hands, she used her left to carefully pull at the fingertips of her right glove, sliding it off and tucking it into her coat pocket. Repeating the motion for the left glove, she felt the soft knit yield against her skin before stowing it away. Bending, she unzipped her backpack again. rummaging past the journal and other items until her fingers closed around the ice skates. They clinked together as she lifted them out. Protective covers shielded the blades. She pulled these off carefully, the chill of the metal sharp against her bare hands. Tossing the covers into the open pack, she contemplated her current footwear. Snug snow boots that had kept her feet blissfully warm. A moment's hesitation. The cold, a tangible presence. Nevertheless, nudging the backpack aside, she sat on the kick-sled's chair, propping her right foot on the log. Unlacing the boot, she slid her foot free, feeling the plush fleece lining give way. Setting the boot gently onto the snow, she guided her foot into the waiting ice skate. Wrapping the laces firmly around her hands, she pulled them taut, securing the skate snugly before tying a tight, double knot. A wiggle of her toes confirmed the fit. Lowering her right foot, she quickly mirrored the process with her left. Skates laced, a fluttery, excited sensation danced in her stomach. It was time. Before rising, she retrieved her gloves from her pockets, pulling them back onto her hands. Instantly, her skin began to warm, returning to a comfortable equilibrium. Now, she affirmed silently, truly ready. Standing, she took a few cautious steps towards the frozen expanse, the snow crunching uniquely beneath the thin blades. Then, she was on the ice. Her body remembered, moving with an almost instinctive grace. Though it had been some time since she'd last skated, muscle memory flowed back effortlessly. Soon, she was gliding, carving fluid arcs across the lake's surface, performing a spontaneous, solitary dance. The hiss and grind of the blades against the thick ice created a satisfying, resonant sound. Pure, unadulterated joy bubbled within her. It was just Ilara, the immense silence, and the stark, natural beauty of Arctic Finland embracing her. She found herself spinning, slow, joyous circles, tilting her head back to gaze at the star-strewn sky, a wave of gratitude washing over her for this singular moment, this precious life. As she looked up, a large, perfect snowflake landed squarely on the tip of her nose, eliciting a spontaneous giggle. This day, she felt, could hold no further perfection. She continued to skate, surrendering to the exhilarating sense of freedom. Playfully, she experimented with simple turns, then ventured into skating backward. It took a moment to find the rhythm, the balance, but soon it felt entirely natural, swaying her hips, zigzagging across the frozen stage. After a few minutes of reverse gliding, she turned forward again, the crisp air rushing past her face, sharper now. The temperature had noticeably dropped since sunset. It made her think of the moon. Slowing her glide, she scanned the heavens again. There it is, she whispered, spotting a slender crescent yet luminous against the deep velvet sky. Nearby, a steady, bright point of light. Venus, she recalled, distinguishable from the stars by its unwavering glow. As her eyes traced the faint patterns of constellations, she noticed something unusual, a subtle shift in the darkness, like mist coalescing high above. Squinting, she peered intently. Then, a soft, astonished gasp escaped her lips as the ethereal haze intensified, blooming into a mesmerizing, vibrant green. The aurora borealis. She was witnessing the northern lights. Ribbons of emerald light swayed and pulsed across the star-dusted expanse, their celestial dance seeming to echo her own movements on the ice below. The lights shimmered, one section flaring a brilliant, almost neon green, then extending outwards, softening as they flowed and shifted. Yet, despite the silent ballet unfolding overhead, time itself felt suspended. She couldn't recall if her skates were still moving, or if she stood utterly motionless, captivated. It felt as though she had slipped the bonds of ordinary space and time, gazing into the heart of this otherworldly spectacle. The colors, the silent, luminous performance. It felt impossibly close. Instinctively, she reached a gloved hand upward, as if to brush against the flowing light. And then, as swiftly as it had appeared, the display pulsed one last time and faded, like curtains drawing softly at a performance's end. A tingling sensation suffused her entire body as she stood alone in the vast silence of the frozen lake. She felt intensely alive, yet simultaneously calm, serene, imbued with the profound peace left in the wake of the aurora's passage. Nothing like it, she thought. Never. Gratitude surged again. So glad to be here. This perfect day. Slowly, almost reverently, she glided around the lake one final time, her mind replaying the celestial phenomenon. Then, navigating towards the edge nearest her belongings, she carefully stepped off the ice, small shards skittering away from beneath her blades. Back on the snow-covered bank, she sank onto the kick-sled's chair. Her fuzzy boots waited patiently. Bending, she unlaced each skate, pulling them off one by one. Setting them aside, she gratefully slipped her feet back into the familiar warmth of her boots, lacing them comfortably. Standing, she turned, brushing off stray snowflakes that had settled on her shoulders during her skate. Picking up the skates, feeling their surprising weight in one hand, she retrieved the blade covers from her pack with the other. Gently, she pushed the covers onto each blade, then placed the skates back into her backpack, letting out a sigh of deep contentment. She zipped the pack securely closed. Pulling the kick sled back onto the main path, she prepared for the short return journey to the village center. Once more aboard the sled, she pushed off, gliding swiftly along the snow-covered track. A few other locals and visitors were still out, enjoying the crisp evening air. She noticed they all seemed to carry a similar quiet luminescence about them, a shared glow reflecting the magic of the place. She imagined her own face held the same light. As she sledded past a small group, she overheard snippets of conversation about the northern lights. A private smile touched her lips, thinking of the extraordinary, uninterrupted view she had been granted from the secluded lake. Soon, her cabin came into view. She parked the sled alongside several others near the entrance. No locks, no need for security. Trust was woven into the fabric of this place. A couple of wooden steps led up to the cabin door. She softly kicked the toes of her boots against the risers, dislodging clumps of snow. At the threshold, she scraped her soles thoroughly on a snowflake-patterned mat before turning the knob and stepping inside. The small cabin opened into a common area where a welcoming fireplace crackled merrily. A couple sat close together on a sofa nearby, holding steaming mugs, the vapor rising softly as the woman took a sip. As the door clicked shut behind Ilara, the woman glanced over, offered a warm, brief smile, then turned her gaze back to the hypnotic flames. Walking down the short hallway, the wooden floorboards creaked companionably beneath her weight. Soon, she reached her room. It was a cozy haven, dominated by a large bed piled with quilts, the decor simple and rustic. In one corner stood a small potted pine tree, its fragrance subtly perfuming the air. Slipping off her boots, Ilara flicked on a string of delicate fairy lights arranged on the wall beside the bed, instantly creating a soft, inviting ambiance. Across from the bed, a window looked out onto the night. She walked over and drew back the heavy curtains. Closing her eyes for a fleeting moment, she made a silent, hopeful wish, then opened them to gaze at the sculpted mounds of snow below and the clear, star-saturated sky above. With a soft yawn, she began her preparations for sleep. Soon, she was pulling back the luxuriously soft blankets, slipping between the cool, smooth sheets, one leg at a time. She fluffed the pillows, then leaned across to the bedside table to switch off the fairy lights. And then, like a final, breathtaking encore, she saw them again through her window. The northern lights, glowing greens, shimmered, intertwining with softer veils of white against the darkness. The lights moved with a slow, languid grace, as if dancing and humming a silent lullaby. Time drifted. The celestial glow pulsed high above. Before she knew it, her eyelids grew heavy, resisting her will to keep watching. She blinked slowly, softly, surrendering as she drifted into a deep, restful slumber, her dreams already weaving themselves from the magic of Arctic Finland and the dazzling, unforgettable Aurora Borealis. Agra, 1640. A stillness hangs in the cool dawn air, broken only by the distant murmur of the Yamuna. Here, nearing its magnificent completion, stands the Taj Mahal, the crown of the palace, a testament sculpted from grief and devotion. Emperor Khurram commissioned this wonder as an eternal embrace for his cherished wife, Arjumand, whose earthly form found its rest within these nascent walls some years prior, conceived as a mausoleum for sovereign and consort. Its sublime artistry and the profound love that breathed it into existence would soon echo across continents, branding it one of history's most breathtaking emblems of affection. You find yourself poised at its threshold now, the crispness of the morning, a welcome caress. Anchored to the Yamuna's southern flank, the structure radiates a dazzling, almost ethereal whiteness. Though the river itself lies beyond your immediate sightline, its ceaseless rush whispers on the breeze, a low counterpoint to the sporadic, gentle trills of awakening birds. A serene morning symphony unfolds, and a quiet thankfulness settles within you for this early audience. From somewhere unseen, a voice lifts in morning prayer, its melodic contours carried softly, weaving through the avian chorus and the river's sigh. Closing your eyes, you strain to isolate the sound, finding it both profoundly calming and deeply stirring. Around this monument, the city itself begins to stir. Cultivators make their way towards waiting fields. Shepherds guide their flocks through awakening lanes. Roosters, scattered like jewels across the urban fabric, issue their sharp cries, each call distinct in the pellucid air. One day, this vista will be dense with structures, but for this fleeting moment, only the Taj Mahal and a scattering of vibrant domes punctuate the horizon. Generous space separates them, affording an unobstructed view of the heavens, now streaked with the sunrise's tender yellows and oranges, hues that resonate with the reds and blues crowning distant edifices. Agra, once the very heart of Emperor Khurram's domain, still wears its majesty, though the capital shifted to Delhi 2 years hence. The city basks in the reflected glory of its emperor's passion for art and architecture, while the Taj Mahal represents the zenith of his patronage. Numerous handsome red brick buildings also grace the landscape, enduring symbols of that imperial favor. Khurram, fourth sovereign of the Mughal line, presided over a formidable empire rooted in the Indus Basin, its influence stretching across much of India, Afghanistan, and lands now known as Pakistan. Renowned patrons of the arts, the Mughals infused South Asia with Persian sensibilities, cultivating a rich cultural synthesis destined for a long legacy. Here, that influence manifests most strikingly in stone and form. Minarets, slender, sky-piercing towers integral to mosques, are a common sight. Architectural styles favor intricate, deeply worked carvings. Rounded domes like the colossal one commanding your view crown many significant structures, while marble, luminous and costly, defines the Taj Mahal. Humbler buildings often shimmered with mosaics of small, colorful tiles, marble being a luxury far beyond common reach. You recall glimpses of these tiled facades during your earlier passage through the city, a journey culminating here at the gates of this unparalleled monument. Soon, the privilege will be yours to shadow the master architect, Ustad Isa, as he oversees the final flourishes upon this glorious creation. You amble into the vast courtyard where Ustad Isa, the architect, surveys the domain. A tall figure, bearded and turbaned, his expression is one of calm contemplation. He moves with measured steps, his gaze absorbing every detail. Within a few years, he envisions this expanse transformed into a verdant paradise, a lush garden bisected by a long pool. Its waters, intended to be the clearest blue, will capture the sky and the marble edifice, earning the name Reflecting Pool. Trees will eventually flank its edges, forming verdant walls. Not far ahead, Ustad Isa paces the very ground where the pool will lie, inspecting corners, ensuring readiness for the work to come. You follow, maintaining a respectful distance, your own pace slowed to savor the surroundings. The garden's planned geometry draws inspiration from the Islamic vision of paradise. 4 rivers diverging from a central source. Though yet unbuilt, you perceive an inherent serenity, a heavenly quality already permeating the space. Even from afar, the Taj Mahal commands attention, but standing within its precincts reveals a design where every element directs the eye towards the central mausoleum. It is a breathtaking spectacle, seizing your focus and refusing to relinquish it. The white marble, ignited by the nascent sun, possesses a mesmerizing luminescence. Polished to a near impossible sheen, the white-gray stone glistens, appearing immaculate, as if freshly quarried and placed. Indeed, the marble hailed from a town in Rajasthan, northern India, famed for yielding the world's finest. Nothing less would suffice for the emperor's beloved Arjumand. Yet, the monument is not solely marble. Sandstone forms parts of its foundation, concealed beneath reinforcing marble plates, creating a structure both aesthetically sublime and structurally sound. At the heart of the complex rests a substantial rectangular plinth, surmounted by the iconic, bulbous central dome, the Onion Dome. Reaching over 70 meters towards the sky, it cuts an imposing silhouette. 4 elegant minarets stand sentinel, detached from the main tomb, but visually framing it when viewed from the gardens, lending depth and accentuating its grandeur. These minarets echo the central form, with their own smaller, rounded cupolas, the entire ensemble deeply rooted in traditional Persian architectural principles. The central dome curves with flawless grace, smooth and radiant, betraying no hint of the immense labor required to shape such perfection from unyielding stone. Beneath your feet, the courtyard grass yields softly as you approach the magnificent structure, each slow step deepening your appreciation. Its sheer scale is dazzling. You struggle to absorb its entirety at once, wishing to etch this vision into memory forever. Your eyes catch movement on steps flanking the main building. A few artisans pause there, perhaps sharing morning chai and a simple meal before their day's exacting work begins. Their charge, the intricate carvings, delicate engravings, and flowing calligraphy that adorn the interior. It is these embellishments you have come specifically to witness, to grasp the depth of artistry lavished upon this extraordinary place. Ustad Isa halts before the principal gateway, examining an element near the door. This portal is unlike any you have encountered, possessing a grandeur commensurate with the entire complex. A massive arch crowns it, its panels alive with elaborate floral tracery. You discern Arabic calligraphy, too, elegant black script upon the stone, though clearly still in progress. Perhaps some of the workers you saw moments ago are the masters of this art, you muse, awestruck by their evident skill. Closer inspection reveals the lettering, exquisitely engraved with fine flourishes and sweeping curves. This great gate, the formal entrance, is renowned for its primary inscription, a verse offering solace and promise. O soul, thou art at rest. Return to the Lord at peace with him, and he at peace with you. Completed back in 1609, this inscription has graced the entrance for decades. numerous Quranic verses adorn the monument, befitting its fundamental purpose as a final, hallowed resting place. Floral motifs, abstract geometries, and sinuous lines dominate the decorative scheme throughout the Taj Mahal. In certain areas, the white marble is delicately inlaid with black jasper, a hard quartz lending sharp contrast. Inscriptions placed high on the walls are rendered larger, ingeniously scaled so viewers on the ground can still discern the sacred text. Every minute aspect, you realize, is deliberate, the result of meticulous planning and profound consideration. You trail Ustad Isa as he proceeds towards the central chamber of the mausoleum. Approaching, you hear the subtle sounds of creation, artisans within the cavernous, empty room, tending to the delicate surfaces. Soft, rhythmic tapping of chisel against stone reverberates, punctuated by brief silences as a craftsman pauses, blows away marble dust, inspects his progress. Then, satisfied, the gentle percussion resumes, filling the vast space. You move through the chamber at an unhurried pace, attuned to the slow cadence of their labor, attempting to fathom the immense dedication poured into this sanctuary. The magnificent dome observed from the garden now forms the celestial ceiling above you. Inside, the marble gleams with the same intensity as without. Sunlight streams through windows intricately patterned like stone lace, suffusing the chamber with a warm, golden light. Within these luminous shafts, minuscule dust motes drift and swirl, resembling fine sugar cascading through an invisible sieve. Caught at the right angle, they momentarily shimmer, tiny sparks of ephemeral magic. The windows themselves are marvels of craftsmanship, as detailed as any wall carving. Hewn from massive stone blocks, their latticed appearance, fine, interlacing strands of marble, belies their solidity, lending an air of impossible delicacy. The filtered sunlight illuminates the surrounding marble walls, bathing the room in an ethereal radiance. Few have trod these floors. The building retains the pristine aura of the newly finished, the special allure of a place scarcely visited. Ladders and platforms still stand here and there, remnants of the intense construction, though most equipment has been cleared. A lone worker sweeps the marble floor with a broom fashioned from bamboo, its rhythmic swish a soft whisper against the polished stone. Your attention returns to the architect. Ustad Isa now scrutinizes something on a wall, separating this main hall from the inner sanctum. Curiosity piqued, you draw nearer. As you approach, you perceive a difference in the wall's treatment. Flanking the doorway to the inner chamber are shallow alcoves recessed into the stone, gently curved and tapering to a subtle point at their apex. You watch as the architect runs a careful index finger along the edge of one carving, testing its smoothness, assessing the need for further refinement. His profound sense of duty, his unwavering pursuit of perfection for the Taj Mahal, is palpable, mesmerizing. He has orchestrated this symphony of stone and light with painstaking care, and continues his vigilance even now. Satisfied with the alcoves, his focus shifts to the decoration surrounding them. A vibrant network of stylized florals unfolds across the marble, interconnected by vines and creepers rendered in multiple hues. Blues and yellows dominate the vines, accented with orange and green, while subtle browns shade some petals. The patterns intertwine with fluid elegance, like visual poetry translated from lyrical Arabic verse. Moving closer still, you examine the minute details of these colorful forms. A startling realization dawns. These are not paintings. The wall before you showcases pietra dura, a masterful art form. Here, precisely cut, colored stones are inlaid into a base stone, creating intricate images that mimic painting from a distance. Close observation reveals the seams where each piece of vibrant stone meets the marble. The sheer time and patience demanded by such work feels immense. You picture a devoted artisan, brow furrowed in concentration, meticulously placing each segment, then stepping back to gauge the effect. Almost involuntarily, you step back yourself, seeking the artisan's perspective. The illusion is striking. The botanical forms seem rendered by the finest brush. Being so new, the colors possess an intense vibrancy, foreshadowing the living plants destined to flourish in the gardens outside. Across the way, Ustad Isa observes another craftsman, an older man, perhaps in his 60s, diligently working on a section of wall. With a sharp chisel and small hammer, he taps away, coaxing floral and foliate patterns from the stone. From the rough, stony surface, something delicate and magical slowly emerges. The beginnings of a lily, perhaps, or a daffodil, its form only half revealed. The architect watches intently as the slow, deliberate taps refine the magnificent stone. The embossed elements of the plant gradually gain definition. You contemplate the juxtaposition, the soft suggestion of flora against the hard, unyielding permanence of stone. Beauty, it seems, resides everywhere here, merely awaiting the patient hand of the artist to reveal it, stroke by careful stroke. When Ustad Isa seems content with the carver's progress, he turns towards the innermost chamber. This is the heart of the mausoleum, where the cenotaph of Queen Arjumand Banu Begum rests. She was interred here just a few years past. A palpable shift occurs. This is a sacred space, imbued with solemnity. Entering the room, a profound sense of serenity envelops you. The tomb lies centrally within the circular chamber, encircled by an ornate marble screen. This barrier echoes the lace-like pattern of the exterior windows, but appears denser, the openings smaller. Approaching, you see that these apparent gaps are formed by exquisitely interlinked floral carvings, stalks, and tiny leaves spaced with perfect regularity. A truly marvelous work, you think, the sheer intricacy prompting reflection on the depth of bond between emperor and wife that could inspire such breathtaking devotion. The cenotaph itself embodies grace and beauty. Its surface is adorned with exquisite Arabic calligraphy, the 99 names of God, as revealed in the Quran. Though the precise meaning of each inscription eludes you, the elegant black script, with its looping, slanting forms, holds you captive. Sunlight penetrates this chamber too, but here it glows a deeper, warmer orange than in the previous hall. Perhaps it's the angle of entry, or simply the advancing hour. It illuminates the complex geometric patterns inlaid upon the floor. Before long, you notice Ustad Isa preparing to depart. You follow as he moves through a corridor flanked on one side by massive latticed windows. Your footsteps echo softly against the stone walls. He is heading towards the rear of the Taj Mahal, presumably to inspect the flanking structures. A mosque and a guest house, still under construction. Should you follow? Curiosity pulls you towards those other buildings, yet something holds you back. As you deliberate, you emerge onto the open platform at the rear of the main mausoleum. Here, overlooking the wide expanse of the Yamuna River, a stunning vista unfolds. You pause, allowing Ustad Isa to continue on his inspection. There is little for him here. This section is complete, but you feel compelled to linger. The other buildings can wait. Standing at the platform's edge, you draw a long, deep breath. It is later now, but the air retains its cool freshness. The sun, climbing higher, begins to offer a gentle warmth, not yet intense, but comforting, inducing a quiet contentment. You reach out, touching the marble balustrade. Its surface is unbelievably smooth, cool against your fingertips. Stroking the polished stone, you ponder the genesis of this place, the countless lives and untold hours poured into realizing Emperor Khurram's vision. Your gaze drifts over the Yamuna, thoughts meandering. The Taj Mahal's beauty is intrinsic, undeniable. Yet the river, its presence, its sound, its constant flow, adds another profound layer to the experience. The water appears clean, reflecting the sky, its banks broad. Near the edge, a pair of horses dip their heads to drink before wandering onward. It would be easy, you feel, to spend hours right here, simply watching the river, allowing your mind to revisit the wonders witnessed within these walls. More awaits discovery later, but for this interlude you are content. This day, you know, will remain indelible, etched into your memory. It feels as though the Taj Mahal has become a part of you. Tonight, dreams will likely be filled with vibrant inlaid vines, luminous white marble, and the clear, fresh murmur of the river. You sense the love permeating every carving, every carefully considered line. Like countless visitors before, and untold numbers yet to come, you have been utterly captivated by the grandeur of the Taj Mahal. You will carry the thought of this place for days, filled with gratitude for inhabiting a world capable of such transcendent beauty.